Let's go. I am Ray, and why does nobody talk about the fact that opening your third eye too soon can absolutely ruin your life? But no, it's a spiritual trend. Let's open the third eye, shall we? No, don't do it. Not yet. Before we begin, I want to address something. And that is, I've learned from the error of my ways. I bought new markers. Black only. See how these work. Fresh. Now, here's the problem. Here is source, and you have like this little umbilical cord connected to you, and the third eye is the portal to a source. Imagine like an outlet. Plug. You're plugged in, and that's great. Congratulations. You're alive. Think about it this way. The third eye contracts and it expands. Now, this is just my theory. Bear with me. But darkness triggers the third eye to expand, whereas light triggers the third eye to close. So in the morning time, depending on your circadian rhythm, your connection to source closes off, and you have energy for the day. And then when you use up that energy, you have to go to sleep. Darkness. So when you go to sleep at night, you enter into mini-death. The third eye opens, you get flooded with life, with power. God power. And that does all your healing repairs, and then provides you with energy for the next day, and over again. The problem is... I need my phone for things. Let's see. Let's say you're operating at 120 volts, which is like most plugs in your house. But your dryer takes 240, let's say, 240 volts. It needs more electricity to run. But if you send 240 into a 120 appliance, you're going to blow it up. And so when you open yourself up to the source of power, if your body is not ready to handle that power, you're going to get fried. And that is what you see when people go crazy. It's called spiritual psychosis. Madness. It's the same reason why certain people, it's more dangerous for them to take psychedelics. Because the same thing happens. When you take psychedelics, the portal opens and you open up the floodgates and you're flooded with God. And the thing that some people suffer from is that sometimes Humpty Dumpty can't put themselves back together again. Whether you expose yourself to certain spiritual ideas, have a psychedelic experience, open the third eye, if you're not ready for it, bad things, you won't know how to recover. You won't know how to return to baseline and be able to function in life. So be careful. Let's get to the practical things, shall we? As far as I can tell, this is the main danger. Here's your head. If your other chakras, the lower animal instincts, if your system is not flowing properly, if your other chakras are not opened, where's that energy going to go? The heart is the gateway between the spirit realm and the earthly realm. Your heart needs to be opened. But simply put, you need room for that energy to flow. Otherwise, what happens? All that power, all that juice, that electricity, it gets stuck in your head. And you explode, possibly. And that is why madness ensues. Because you're so stuck in your head. And you have entered into imbalance, my friend. Don't do it. Be careful. And how you remedy this is simple. If you are already here, you must address the issue of the body. You have to open the pathway up for that energy to go. Open up the lower chakras, my friend. Because when energy cannot flow properly, it becomes destructive. So it can destroy your life. We need to open up the flow. Think about it this way. You have spirit, source, funnel down to mind, but you don't want your energy to be stuck here. You want to continue grounding yourself in the world, in your body. Release the pressure from that big head of yours. Funnel it down here. It begins by stop worrying about philosophy and ideas and intellectual things. Stop it. You don't need any more thoughts. You don't need any more information. You got plenty. What you need is grounding. Think about what happens if a house is not properly grounded. There's fires and death. Number one, move. Do not stay still. Energy needs somewhere to go. This is why so many people have mental health issues. They're sitting around all day, doing nothing, looking at a screen. They're not moving their bodies. I say if you want to live a terrible life, have an active mind and a still body. Why? Because in that case, you have so much information floating around in here. But if you want to live a great life, have a still mind and an active body. Because when you dissipate some of that energy into your body, the mind quiets down. You're not thinking so much, you're not lost in the madness of your own thoughts, and you experience peace and relief. Because the thing is, peace is the default state. But we have so many thoughts, so many mind stuff, taking away our peace. So first things, you got to get some of that energy into your body. Move and don't stop until you experience relief. Do some shaking. Release some of that tension. Tension creates energy blockages. A great practice a Hindu mystic on YouTube teaches. His name is Satya G. Nice guy. He has a practice that is, you shake for 15 minutes. Just shake. Shake your body, however that means to you. And then, for 15 minutes, you do some dancing. Listen to some music. Allow your body to just go with the flow. And then for 15 minutes, you go sit and meditate and relax into your body. Now, you can do it each for 5 minutes or 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. Just shake. Just dance. Maybe you can do some singing. It has to be physical. Get out of the mind space. We no longer belong there. We want to do some exercise, some stretches. Relax the body, because in non-resistance, energy can flow. The tension is resistance. The problem is, if you're experiencing spiritual psychosis, the problem is the mind. The problem is thoughts. The problem is reacting to your experiences, to your thoughts, to the scary feelings. So you want to get out of your head and into your body, which means learning how to be in the present moment as often as you can. Later on, you can go back and think thoughts if you like. And the thing about meditation, it's often easier to meditate after exercise, after you've moved the body. Because when you're sitting there, but you got all this energy in your mind, there's all kinds of thoughts all the time. So you're battling with your thoughts. I'm trying not to think, but I can't. So you have to deal with the problem at the level of the body. And literally ground yourself. Go out onto the grass with your bare feet and just do some stretches. Do some shaking there. Get some sunlight. Hydrate properly. Maybe do some fasting. Or at least pay attention to what you eat. The whole point, take care of the body. Focus on the body. If you got a mind problem, don't try to think your way out of it. Move your way out of it. It is easier to act your way into positive thinking than it is to think your way into positive action. You see, the problem is, sometimes we like to hop on spiritual trends, and opening your third eye seems cool. Yay. Not yay. Nay, actually. I mean, first of all, ask yourself why you're trying to open your third eye in the first place. But focus on opening your lower chakras first. Because until you open these, the energy is going to have nowhere to go. You must build a better vessel that can handle that energy. The reason people go mad, spirituality ruins their life, because they haven't built a proper vessel in order to handle that intense power. They plug themselves in too soon, and they get zapped. The root is grounding. Don't skip leg day. Your legs stem from the root chakra. Exercise your legs. Do things that are creative, things that you love, a hobby, writing, painting. If you have any sexual trauma, deal with that. You gotta get the energy flowing in these areas. Solar plexus. You want to be strong in your identity. In spirituality, we say, no, kill the ego. Ego is bad. But if your ego is not strong enough, it's like Humpty Dumpty looking around like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't put myself back together again. But if you have a strong identity, if you have a strong center, it doesn't matter. Your life can fall apart and you'll make it. You will return. So you want to get clear on who you are, what you want, what kind of person you are. Don't just get so attached to the spiritual ideas and say, no, I don't want any identity. I don't want to be a person. I don't want to be an ego. Stop it. Your ego's not going away anytime soon, unless you're already enlightened. And if you're already enlightened, well, you're probably just chilling somewhere. The ego is a tool that you may use. The error is not in having an ego, it is in identifying with it. And what happens oftentimes in spirituality is that we have these frameworks from which we live our life. That is a construct of our beliefs, our identities of who we believe we are, the stories we tell ourselves, etc. And this keeps us safe. It lets us at least believe that, okay, I know reality enough where I'm not just gonna die one day accidentally. The framework allows you to function as a normal human being. But in spirituality, if you really dive deep, you're gonna get blown away. That framework is not going to sustain itself because the framework is built around your ego. And once you discover that the ego is an illusion, you no longer have this safety net. The ego is just a thought, it's just memory, but it helps ground us to reality. And so spirituality will come along like you're floating in the ocean. This is your lifeboat. Spirituality comes and says, nope, cuts the lifeboat, and you start sinking in the ocean. Talk about madness. Now you're in open ocean, lost in chaos, don't know what to do. What do you start doing? You become hopeless, and you start drowning because you're freaking out. You're just freaking out. And when you start hyperventilating and freaking out, you're not going to last very long. But if you can just calm yourself down, you can be free, and you can find your way back to solid ground, my friend. First, we kind of need the knowledge of what we're going through, a bit of understanding, so we know how to deal with the problem. Once we know what to do, act. So what we want to do, because spirituality will destroy your ego. Nothing can survive the light of God. So you want to begin building this box back up. If you're stuck in the ocean, if you're drowning, if you're going through spiritual psychosis, you have to put yourself back together. Who am I? Not in the spiritual self-inquiry way, in realizing that you are the divine. Who are you as a person? Who are you as an individual? Who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Because if you don't know who you are anymore, there's nothing left to do but drown. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to think. You don't know how to behave. And so this is how we put the pieces back together again. We get some stable ground. We're not just floating in the ether. Here is one way we may look at it, perhaps. Let's just say the energy flows down like this. These are the lower chakras up. These are the higher chakras down. If you learn nothing else, remember this one word, grounding. Grounding yourself in the body, in the world again. Because spirituality, opening your third eye, will destroy your ability to function in society if you're not careful. We need balance. We don't just need spirituality. That's why I made the video. You need spirituality and self-improvement. Exercise, working on the body, working on your mind. and also becoming free, finding God. And if you are too attached to one or the other, you're going to experience problems. You're going to be out of harmony with life. And when you're not in harmony with life, you're in harmony with death. And that is why people suffer. All you have to do, return to balance. See where you're imbalanced, find the problem, and then integrate the opposite energy. Most spiritual people, they don't have problems being spiritual. They have problems being a person, being a human, living in the world in which most other people live in. But we've been conditioned to believe that spiritual is better than earthliness. Whether it's religion, doesn't matter. It's not true. You cannot reject any one of the parts without also rejecting the whole thing. It's not about running away from the world. It's not about running away from your earthly desires and your flesh and all that. It's about learning how to be in the world but not of the world. Be of the spirit but live like everybody else. What I mean by that is, you can have a conversation with somebody. You can have small talk. People can talk to you and they don't suspect that you're any different than them. Awakening is usually not a good thing for most people in the beginning. Think about how conspiracy theorists act. Everybody's a sheeple. They're obsessed with it. Oh, look at all these conspiracies. Oh, this is the way the world is, and they don't understand. Everybody's asleep. Yeah, that's just called getting lost in the madness. You go from one prison to the next. Same thing happens with spirituality. You begin to see how everybody else is sleepwalking, and you feel like you are somehow superior. Spirituality is about living well. It's not about being better than others. So if whatever you're doing isn't making your life better, stop it. I know in a world where everyone's asleep, awakening seems special. It's not. You don't see me boasting about how awake I am. I'm awake right now. Are you not awake right now? We're all awake. We're all breathing. We're all alive. There's no reason to be prideful about being alive, about breathing, about being awake, which is why enlightened people don't talk about how enlightened they are. But when you're imbalanced toward the higher energies, that is what you do. You get trapped in the spiritual ego. An even more simple way to think about it is the yin and the yang. Chaos and order. If you feel like you're getting stuck in madness, you have too much chaos energy and you need order, which is why we discussed grounding, putting things back together. Whereas if you're too much of an egomaniac, you want to dissolve that ego a bit. It's like a sword. If it's too rigid, it becomes brittle and it breaks. If it's too flimsy, it is not useful. Just flops all over the place. Balance, my friend. See where you're first imbalanced and then integrate the opposite energy. We are all instruments of God, and our life is the song. And whether or not our song is in tune, whether or not our life is in harmony, is determined by whether or not we are in tune. So are your strings too loose or are they too tight? You'll feel it, you'll know intuitively what is going on. Once you know this, you know the antidote, because by integrating the opposite energy, you return to balance, and things solve themselves. I am Ray. This is my closed door. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.